All right. Yeah, I knew it was muted. I just couldn't find the damn microphone to click on. All right. So I think we're okay now. All right. So, all right, let's get this thing out of the way. All right. All right. So, so looking ahead a bit, on Tuesday, we have the Chapter 6 assignment will be due. And then on Thursday, we'll have our first exam, which will cover chapters 4, 5, and 6. All right. This is such an innocent looking line, but these are not easy problems.
I don't think they can hear you still.
They can't. Well, my mic is on. I can.
I can hear you fine.
Thank you. Is it very quiet, or is it loud? I don't know. Can I?
It's pretty clear.
Okay, thank you. I don't know what's going on. Okay. Anyway, this is a rather tough assignment, so I strongly suggest you don't start Monday at midnight. All right. But what I'm going to do, if you look at the end of this document, I have several hints. All right. And I don't have time to kind of go through these hints for every one of these, but there's a couple that I definitely can't leave you alone on because they're just so different. Right. And number 15 is, I think, pretty standard fare. It resembles what we've already done, so I don't see any issue with that one. Okay, now number 16. Okay, this came out of nowhere. A couple of things you have to recognize, and you might make a note of this. And first would be that it says you have two companies that are identical, and except one is a tax equals zero company, and the other is a 35% tax rate, right? And what it tells you is that they have before tax cash flows. Oh, not sharing the screen. Well, you're not funny. Okay. We better share a screen then. Oh, you're so right. Thank you. Keep popping those things in. I'll tell you what. Let's do the desktop. All right. By the way, do you know the difference between sharing an app and sharing the desktop? There's actually a difference. Let me show you the main one. If I go to Excel, for example, all right, and let's say I go to data and I pull up Solver. We see, I believe I'm correct. People that are remote, you can tell me, but you can see this Solver dialog box, can't you? I hope you can. Can we see that? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Now the thing is, if I am in the Excel app, so I share the Excel app instead, you can't see this. So I can't see anything you pull up. I mean, I've had people share their files with me. They want some help, and they click on something and I can't see it because it doesn't come up on the app, but it does. It becomes a pop-up. So that's another screen. So you have to find the other screen, and then you have to show, so, but if you just show the desktop, it shows all these things. I think it does. Okay, very good. So we don't need this today. Kind of bad to live a day in your life you don't have to use Solver. That's too bad. But anyway, we'll live without it for today. Okay, so anyway, this, we have a company here that has, your book calls this, I believe, $26,000 cash flow before tax. What does that mean? Okay, what they're giving you in terms of what I have done, they're giving you revenues minus costs. Okay, revenues minus costs. Okay, so they give you revenues minus costs, And for the company A with a tax rate of 0, well, if you think about our equation, revenues minus cost, 26,000, times 1 minus T, well, that's 1 minus 0, plus T, 0, times the so it's just the $26,000 is your cash flow, isn't it? So the before tax and after tax cash flows are identical if your tax rate is 0. Pretty straightforward. All right, now the second one, on the other hand, company B. Okay, company B, on the other hand, has a tax rate of 35%. And we're depreciating this using the 5-year class. And just one note you can see over here that the project involves 5 years of $26,000 cash flows, but not the 6. Okay, our revenues minus costs before tax cash flows. But in the 6 here, you still have that last depreciation factor. So they'll take that. And so that's your cash flow 6 will be just the depreciation tax yield. So revenues minus cost is 0, plus T times depreciation, and you get, okay? All right. The gist of this problem is not obvious. What are they asking you to do? All right, if I told you that you earn 10% before tax and you're going to earn 8% after tax, what's your tax rate? Well, what does it take to drop 10% down to 8? It takes 20%, doesn't it? So you've lost 20% of your return to taxes. Okay, so here's what happens. For this problem, I give you the number here. So if you calculate the IRR for the tax rate equals 0 company, you're going to get 9.43%. All right. Now, if you calculate the IRR for the tax equals 35% company, it will be less than this. It's 6 something, I believe. Okay. And so the question is, what's the effective tax rate? Okay, so just like I would ask you, what does it take for taxes to bring a 10% before tax return down to 8%? It took 20% in taxes, didn't it? Okay, so you're going to be 9.43% with no tax, so that's before tax. And you're going to get 6 something after tax. So what's the effective tax rate? So I take the 9.43, multiply it times 1 minus T, set that equal to whatever I get for the IRR down here, and then solve for T. Not hard to do, but just not obvious what you're supposed to do. Does that make sense? Yeah. A little bit of algebra, but that won't be hard, but well, if you can figure out this is what you had to do, you're doing well. All right. Okay, the next one. Okay, what I got to get you into the mode is to have that 0, that R minus C, 1 minus T plus T, have that in your mind the whole time and fit it to the problem. Okay, so like this one, you have an opportunity to either make or purchase some, I think they're called lids or something like that. And if they invest $150,000 today, plus $30,000 of working capital, that's where we get the 180. They can manufacture these for $1.50 each. Okay, if they go to a vendor, the vendor will charge them $2 each. Okay. All right. So can we get into that R minus C? Well, sure you can. Okay. There are no revenues here. You're just buying a product. But stick to the script. 0 revenues minus. Okay, so this one would be $2 a lid. And I think it's $2 a lid, and they want $200,000 a year, or 200,000 units a year for 10 years. Okay, so I think I did this one for you. You get $260,000. So it'd be $2 minus $2 times 200,000 times 1 minus 35% plus now T times depreciation. No, there is no depreciation. So nothing. Okay, now on the other hand, the other option is to manufacture these. So you have an upfront cost of $180,000. And there's a silly question in the book. And that would be that somebody is suggesting you don't need to worry about working capital because you're going to get it all back anyway. And how do you answer someone like that? Won't be the first silly question you ever got as a finance person. So you got to get used to that, right? Well, when do you recover it? At the end of the 10th year, at the end of the project. Sure, you get it back. But is $30,000 10 years from now worth the same as $30,000 today? You see, that's one thing that non-finance majors tend to just to let it slip right by, the time value of money. Sometimes it doesn't hurt that much, but sometimes they're way off. All right. So here you go. This would be $1.50. So 0 revenues minus $1.50. 200,000 lids, just like it says, times 1 minus T, okay, plus T, 35%. There's your factor. 14.29% for the first one, times 150,000. Remember, you don't depreciate working capital. Don't do that. Times 150,000, and you get it. So I got the cash flows there for you. So you can see if you get them right. And just if you set it up right in Excel, you can just go copy it down and get your done. All right. All right, number 21. This is one of the, it's the only problem we have in the book, actually. Excuse me, that has a alternative use costs associated with the investment. Like in problem number, what's our first one? 15 or 16, something like that. Let's see. Yeah, 15. Problem number 15 has some amount of investment the company's already made. Okay. And that's called a sunk cost. That doesn't change whether you decide to go with the project or not go with the project. That's sunk. You've already paid it. There's nothing, it has nothing to do with this investment anymore. Okay, here on the other hand, you can see my $100,000 here. That's what they're renting the space for, that where this project will be housed. Okay, and that will increase by 4% every year. So that's an actual cash flow opportunity cost. So if you think of it in terms of cash flow if I accept this versus cash flows if I don't. Okay, so you're giving up $100,000 in order to accept this project. So you have to take this $100,000 off your cash flows before tax. Or if you're a little bit clever, take what would be this first year, 65,000 after tax. But don't be clever. Just put it in here like I did. So I have these cash flows pretty well laid out for you. Rest shouldn't be too bad. Okay, so you get through that one. A little bit of work, but it's doable, especially in Excel. I remember people used to do these by hand. That's a long assignment. On Excel, it's not bad at all. All right. 26. Number 26 occupies a total of 2 paragraphs, 2 short paragraphs in your book. And it's actually 3 questions, but you can't see that unless you know what to look for. So I'm going to help you out. All right. Let me, I guess I made this a picture so I could squeeze it in and get it in, size it readily, but I'm going to steal this if I could and drop it into Excel. So if you want to do the same thing, that would be great. I'm going to drop this into Excel somewhere and I'll blow it up. All right, there we go. And I can do a number of things here. I'll make it even bigger yet. All right. So let's let's see what happens here. Okay, there's two timelines going at once here. That's what makes this tough. 4 years ago, this company bought a group of copiers. Now, do we have to know how many? No, because your analysis, whatever is right for one copier is right for 40, isn't it? Right? But bought a copiers, they paid $20,000 for them 4 years ago. Right, so they've operated this old copier, I call it the old copier, for 4 years. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now at the end of the fourth year, they're looking ahead and they see that their maintenance contract expires in 2 years. So they have a maintenance contract for $2,000 a year. And at the end of 2 years from now, that will increase to $8,000 a year. So if you think about it, look at that. I mean, let's ignore the time value of money for just a moment. 1, 2, 3, 4 times 8, what's that? 32,000. Okay, now you can buy a new copier for 25,000. Okay, they can buy a new copier for $25,000. So they're right here. This is where we are now, right on this line. We're trying to make a decision going forward what to do. Okay, there's 3 options you have to evaluate here. And we're going to spend the rest of the class doing one of them. You have to do the other 2. But if you see what I do here, you should be able to get the other 2 easily. Easy is a strong word. You should be able to get the other 2. Okay, option number 1. Continue to operate the old copier and pay the higher maintenance costs. So this is option number 1 right here. Okay, now option number 2 is let's purchase a new copier. Okay, the new copier will be $25,000 and they can salvage the old copier for $8,000 at the end of this year. Or, I mean, sorry, right at the end of year 4, the start of year 5. Okay, so they can purchase the new copier. The new copier will last 8 years and the maintenance contract will be $1,000. Okay, so that's option number 2. Option number 3 will be to delay this capital cost for 2 years. In other words, continue to operate the old copier until its maintenance contract goes up to $8,000 and then shift over to the new copier. Okay, so in other words, you got $32,000 of maintenance coming up. Well, at this point, why not buy a new copier for $25,000? You see? All right. So you have 3 options you have to consider. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to bring that down to 2 options for you. Okay, but now let's see the other issue we have here. Can you see that option number 1 gives me 6 years of service? So in other words, this copier lasts a total of 10 years. So we've already operated it 4. We have another 6 years we could operate it if we could decide to continue with it. And now one thing nice about these, the salvage value is 0. 0 salvage. Okay, option number 2, you would just simply start operating the new copier. So this one will last 8 years and it will be worthless at the end of the 8th year. Okay, so this one will operate the old copier for 2 years, operate the new copier for 8 more, or a total of 10 years of service. So how do I compare 3 alternatives that give you different lengths of service? How do I do that? Wouldn't you think the one of the longest length of service would have the highest NPV of cost? Probably will. So how do you compare them? Okay, I introduced the concept last class. I don't know if you saw it. I slipped it in at the end. I slipped it in at the end of the, when we did NPV. And that would be something called the equivalent annual cost. And it's also, the equivalent annual cost is, it's also the very end of the lecture notes. I put it back in here too. You see, so I think this is the exact example I did in class. But when you have all negative costs, that eliminates the IRR, right? Because the IRR needs a sign change to work. You don't have a sign change. So this is no IRR here. You do the NPV, and then I go through it here, but what you do is you take the present value of all the costs, including the capital costs, convert those to an annual payment. And that's what you have to do for this problem 26. Okay, so you will create a 6-year annual cost or annual annuity for option 1, a 8-year annual annuity for option 2, and a 10-year annuity for option 3. Okay, so why don't we just, I know I could say all this, and you go home and you go, what the hell was he talking about? So why don't we do option number 3 right now? So you don't have to turn that one into me, is that all right? But you do have to tell me, do I choose option 1, option 2, or option 3, right? But we're gonna do all the dirty work for this. Okay. All right, now what else? Unfortunately, this happens to be a flaming picture, so I have to do something here. Why don't we, and I'm not clever enough to take something out of a picture and convert it to, I've done it before, I don't remember how to do it though, and convert it to Excel. But so let's, what I think we should do, let's, okay. First of all, we're gonna start right here. So we are going to operate the old copier for 2 more years. Okay, so let's do that. And so we're going to have a total here of, I'm going to blow this up so people can see it. We're going to have operating cash flow 1. And we'll take that all the way down to 10, right? We're going to have 10 operating cash flows. All right. 10 operating cash flows. All right. And let's put our depreciation factors over here. All right. So now this is what's so hard to see here. You have to have just a clear image of what you're doing. Okay, if you go back to the old copier, we will be operating the old copier for 2 more years, right? So relative to the old copier, this upcoming year is the 5th year in the life of the old copier. Did everybody see that? And the following year will be the 6th year. So we have to use depreciation factors 5 and 6, not 1 and 2. You see that? Okay, so let's try it. So we want 893 and 892. Okay. Now what happens in the 3rd year? Well, at the end of the 2nd year, we purchase the new copier. So now we go back. I hope you see this. We're going to go all the way back and start using depreciation factor number 1, because this is year 1 in the life of the new copier. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start. This will be 0.1429.
Do you have do you have 89% currently for operating cash flow 1 and 2?
Oh, did I get the wrong ones?
Well,
You might be
I think you need to add 0 potentially.
Oh, I'm short of 0, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would be a good idea. Well, you know, I hit the, oh, dang it. You know, I didn't have my number locked. Didn't see that. Okay. Well, how did I get the 8 and 9? I don't know. Thank you. Thank you. You're a star. Let's get those zeros in there. I don't know what happened. I just didn't hit it hard enough, I guess. I don't know. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you so much. So 0.1429, it looks like I could do that one without any help. All right, and then what's our next one? Let's go through these. So 2449. Next one is 1749. Next one is, there was actually, I think, a half an hour in my life when I understood how the accountants came up with these numbers. Someone explained it to me, and I don't think I got from here to the end of the hall, and I did forgot it. It's so convoluted. You do double declining, and then when straight line gets better, you go back to straight line. I always tell people that's what accountants are for. That's not for me. Okay, 17, 12. How are we doing here? 12. Okay, so this would be, let's see if I get my zeros this time. 0.0893, 0.089, deuce, 0.0893 again, and 0.0446. I think I got it right. Okay, looks good. All right, so let's do operating cash flow number 1. Okay, and I'm working with the alternative to operate the old copier for 2 more years until its maintenance cost jumps to 8,000. Okay, so we're going to have equals. And again, you just have to frame this in that same equation. 0 revenues minus. Okay, and we have the $2,000 maintenance cost. Hey, many of you have worked in offices where the people lease their copiers. What's missing here? I don't know why the office didn't include it. Have you ever seen a copier like that? Doesn't have a counter on it? What's the counter for? It's so much of paper, isn't it? So much a copy. So it's usually a maintenance cost plus so much a copy. And I don't know why they skipped that to try to keep it a little simpler. But if I were doing this, I would include the cost of copying it, the copies. So here we go. So 2,000. And then, of course, if you want to be real accurate, you got to throw in your own paper, right? Okay, so let's make sure we see what we're doing. So we're doing what? Revenues minus costs times 1 minus T plus T times depreciation. All right, that's what we'll be doing in this column. Okay, so copiers haven't made a sale yet. I still don't. 0 minus 2,000. 20,000. How about that? 2,000 times 1.35 plus the old copier acquisition, $20,000 times the factor. We get 80893 this time, and times T. So 0.35. See what I did? So $20,000 times 0.0893. That's the depreciation expense for that year. And I multiplied it times the tax rate. Okay. And there'd be, well, okay. Let's finish. I could copy this down right now, couldn't I? But let's finish the old copier first. Okay, so we're going to finish the old copier. Okay, and we'll copy that one at least. Okay, got the old copier going. All right, now we have some capital costs. So we delayed making the large capital expenditure, the $25,000 for 2 years. Okay, so let's do a year. Oops. Let's do the year 2 capital costs. So let's purchase the new copier. Okay, that would set the company back $25,000. And then we'll salvage the old copier. Okay, now notice there's a little bit of difference in these options. If they purchase the new copier immediately, the old one would be worth 8,000. But if they wait 2 years, the salvage value drops to 3,500. You see that? Boy, look at that, over 50%. Why must he beating the hell out of this thing, huh? It's going down awfully fast. All right, well, yeah, by the time it's done, it's worth 0. So this thing's leading a tough life. Okay, so let's get the salvage. 3,500 of the old copier. All right. Here's the tough one. Oops. All right, go ahead and tell me what the tax cash flow will be. I'll give you the little equation, so you have to go look it up. The equation says minus the tax rate times the difference between salvage minus book. Well, how did I get a small t out of that? That's not good. And times, of course. So go ahead. Well, if you haven't got it by now, decent chance you won't get it. All right, let's see how we did over here. All right. Okay. What are we doing? Anybody in Neverland want to type in a number for me? Oh, we got one. No. Oh, 24.5. Well, I'll tell you what, sir. Not what I got, but at least you're brave enough to put something up there. Thank you. All right, let's go through it. All right. So tax cash flow minus 35% minus T times, okay, salvage minus the book. Okay, that's the whole problem, isn't it? What's the book? Okay, well, if you look up again, let's go back to where the life of the old copier is. We've operated this old copier, so it would have had a 10-year service. Okay, so it would have lasted 10 years, but its depreciable line is only eight depreciation. So it's a 7-year class asset, so they get 8 factors, all right? So where are we in time? We're right here, aren't we? We're at the end of year 2, which is actually the year 6 in the life of that copier. So this copier was depreciated, and let's go through it, what, 14.2, ooh, sorry. Yeah, okay, I get you. The nanny got me on that one. Was depreciated 14.29 the first year, 24.49 the second, and so on. So actually the indication of what its book value is what depreciations haven't been taken. So on the books, we're yet to take 8.93 and 4.46. So those percentages represent the book value. Because we've deducted everything else, haven't we? Okay, so let's try it. Minus. Okay, so we have 0.0, and thank you, I got the 0 this time. 893 plus 0.0446 times the acquisition cost. $20,000. All right, and then I will need one more parentheses to keep the Excel nanny off me. And so let's see how we did. Look good? So one more time, just to make sure we saw that. So it's going to be equals 35%. Actually, you know what I can do? It's not that hard to do. Let me move this over a bit.
Where you get your 35% from?
The tax rate.
Okay.
Yes, it's given in the problem. Okay, so, oh, yeah. So here. Now, you know one thing, say you wanted to show your doing a presentation for Finance 339, you want to show one of your calculations, you know? The easiest way to do it is just make a copy of the calculation. Okay, and then double click it and put a space in front of it. You ever do that? Sure. So now you can see exactly what I did, can't you? I could copy and paste that right into PowerPoint, couldn't I? But let's see what we did though. We took 35% times the difference between the salvage. And then I took the remaining two factors times the acquisition cost. That gave me the book value. And we should be good. Okay. So then let's get our total capital costs, total capital cash flow. Okay, and so we'll just add these together is all we have to do. Oh, by the way, I mean, I point out something on Excel every so often. Like I just did an auto sum, right? And I gotta, so if I happen to be, say, on the data and I want to do an auto sum, now what do I do? I got to go back to home, don't I? Okay, but on the other hand, if I go up to auto sum and I right mouse it and I say add to quick access toolbar, now it's right here on my quick access toolbar. So I can be in data and I need to auto sum. Look at that. It's right here, isn't it? So you can populate this toolbar with all the functions you use all the time. And I never, in fact, sometimes I get into trouble with it because I know on my own computer, I have this populated all the way to about halfway down the screen. And so I'll teach a class and someone says, how do you do that? Well, I can't remember because I've had it on my quick access toolbar since forever. I forgot where it came from, but I get it eventually. So, another one you might do is what if analysis. How about goal seek? Sure. So goal seek, give it a right mouse, add the quick access tool. Now the only trouble with goal seek is that it gives you a very generic looking icon. But if you put your cursor on it, you'll get it back. And then the other one, of course, is your solver. What in the world? Let's put that there too. So add the quick access toolbar, and there she is. So you can just populate this bar with all the things you do commonly. All right, so here we go. Here's our total capital cash flow. So let's come back to our original problem. So, and then let's add our capital cash flow. And so we will make this capital investment at the end of the second year. And it'll be by this amount. So if you want to start a third column, we'll call that total. And then any way you want to do it, look at that. I can already use my new auto sum, can't I? Just be the sum of these two. Right? And let's keep this format nice. Oh, I never thought of that. Can I put the format painter on there? Oh, look at that. I can. Hey, that's going to be handy. I didn't think of that. All right. So, all right. So we need to finish the operating cash flows for the life of the new copier. So this is year one in the life of the new copier. And we have the depreciation factor for the life of the new copier. So it's pretty much the same thing we did here. Let's just pull this one down and make the necessary adjustments. Okay, so what are the adjustments? Well, first of all, the maintenance goes down to 1,000, so let's fix that. And then the acquisition cost is 25,000, not 20,000. And then the factor, which adjusted properly, 14.29. Now here's something that's surprising. Wait till you hit return on this. Watch this. You get a positive cash flow. How's that work? That's because of that depreciation, isn't it? So you get a positive. In fact, these are all going to be positive until we get to the last one. So let's finish off these operating cash flows for the new copier. And that's just a matter of double clicking in the corner here, correct? And I have all those. Let me check in here. How are we doing? What does Alt equal do? I have to try that. What did that do? Oh, really? Oh, look at that. No kidding. Let me see it. I just want to play with it. What the hell's Alt? Oh, there it is. So Alt equals? Oh, see that? Learn something new every day. All right. Thank you. Holy cow. Hope you don't get bored with my little Excel explanations. My goodness, that's good stuff. Now, the other one I do, hey, say you've got a 600 item data set here. You're going down 600 number. You want to get to the bottom. You know how to do that? Just hit Control Alt and down arrow. That didn't work at all. Shift Control down arrow. There it is. So I mean that highlights the whole range for you. So yeah, this is nothing, but I could do it. All right, so let's finish our total cash flows. Let's add, there'll be no more capital cash flows, but we can still, the equation will work. I'll double click that one. All right, and got my format painter right where I can see it. This is good stuff. All right, so we'll work on this one. Okay, so first thing to do, let's get the total present value of all the costs. So we're going to say equals NPV. And the discount rate in this problem is 7%. I just have to remember that. So it says it in there though. Alt equals, my gosh, learned something new today. So fun. Okay, and then you copy this down. And that should do it. Okay, so present value of these 10 years of costs is 17,602. Do we all have 17,602? Oh, very funny. All right. Now you're ahead of me right there. I don't even know how to put one of these funny faces in there. Is that just that thing there? But that's animated. My gosh. Okay. What's next? What do we do next? What do we do next? Okay. For these costs will provide 10 years worth of service. So now I want to convert this number into a 10-year ordinary annuity. Okay, so let's try it. On Excel, the function is called payment. So we'll say, now this is one little thing I'm going to do. These are costs, right? Right. If I enter a present value that's negative in the payment function, same thing in your calculator, it's going to flip the sign because it has to see a sign change. Okay, it has to see a sign change. So I'm going to anticipate that, and I'm going to start the function with a negative sign. So instead of saying payment, I'm going to say negative payment. And that'll give me back a negative number. So PMT rate is 7%. And the number of periods will be 10 periods. And the present value will be 17,602 and so on. We don't need any of the other arguments for this, so we're good. Right. So when I'm finished here with my assignment, I would have, oops. I'd have three options. And equivalent annual costs. So I know number 3 is here. You fill out the other two, choose the one that's the lowest, right?
Professor Ogden, could you scroll up a little bit more? I'm not summoned correctly to 17602, and I want to see where I'm going wrong.
Oh, well, we better look at that then. Just hit equals alt and, no, I'm kidding. Okay, did we go all the way to cash flow 1? We got them all in there?
Yeah, and it looks like I have the same values. But when I'm getting the net present value, it's giving me 18,834.
Ouch.
Oh, I understand what I did. I added cash flow 1 on the outside of the net present value.
Oh, that makes a difference.
Yes. All right.
Does that fix
cool.
it?
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, good, good. Best fix of all, one you did yourself. That's absolutely great. All right, so yeah, we'll have 3 options and you pick the one with the highest. You don't have to do 3, but I mean, you could show something like this if you'd like. And then put an arrow or something over it, whichever one you want, you think is the best. Okay, are there any questions on anything in chapter 6 that I can answer? All I can say is, I don't think there's anything beyond this problem and that other weird one with the effective tax rate. Besides those, these are all consistent with the examples that I've done. And although it's going to take a bit of work, so don't start Monday night at midnight. That's all I'm saying. This is not one of those. I'll actually tell you, by the way, a little later on, we got a couple topics in a row that aren't that bad. I actually made a comment one time. Well, if you want to start this at midnight on Monday, you'll get it done in time. Not this one, though. Okay, this one's tough. So give this guy a little bit of a head start. If you have any trouble, get a hold of me during my office hours. Or if you want some time, just send me a text and say, hey, I can't get this, And the Word document, again, has just numerous check figures here for you. So, you have these numbers. You just have to fill out what goes in between. So, yeah, you got everything you need here. You should be able to do it. All right. Well, I don't see any reason to keep it any longer, so. Yeah.
Are we taking the test next week in person?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, wait, in person. I mean, as a person. Okay, I'm not thinking. You have to do it, okay? No, we're going to take it remote. If you want to come in here and do it, there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm not going to be here. So if you want to come and take your normal spot and take it here, I have no issue with that. You may use any resource you care to bring. All right. And so I'm not going to lock your screens. I'm not making you install whatever that thing is that locks your screen. What you'll find is that there's 20 questions. And I would say, I remember the lockdown is the first time I've ever used multiple choice in this class. I never used multiple choice. Okay, so I converted my regular questions that I would normally ask into multiple choice questions, right? So I use multiple choice in Finance 320. I think I teach that every 10 years. But when I do a 320, I will use multiple choice. And I try to make sure there, if I give a 30, I think I do 33 questions. So 3 points each, 99, I call that 100. I try to make sure there's not more than about 15 of them that have calculations. Otherwise, you're going to be rushed. Okay, that's not the same here. You have 20 questions, and they're all going to have a calculation, just about. Okay, so you don't have time to do research. You won't finish. So what you do is you lay out your materials where you're comfortable. And feel free to look up anything you want, but you will not have time to be making a research project out of it. You have just too many calculations. And I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna pound this physically. I really will. I'll even take my shoe off and play Nikita Khrushchev if I have to. Probably hit a shoe. That's the old Russian premier at the UN. But anyway, there's some things you absolutely can't do on the test. This test doesn't have one of those. And the next test does. But what happens is if you get this one wrong, you will likely get the next 3 or 4 wrong. And I'm going to sit here and tell you, don't do this. Don't use this number. And I'm telling you, people, that the test did it anyway. Okay, so you got to be careful. This one doesn't have anything like that. You will likely not go too far astray if you get one wrong. You won't. But this other one, the next 4 questions are, see, here's what I have. If this were a sheet of paper and I give you a paragraph of given data, I say, what is, and you just have to write it all out and solve it for me. That's what I used to do. Right? I never used multiple choice. And so I basically took that same paragraph, I gave it, and then I asked questions, only there's multiple choice answers for them now. So that's basically what it is. You'll have 3 paragraphs of given information, and then questions from chapters 4, 5, and 6 to follow. So, very doable. I've seen people finish in 42 minutes. I've never had nearly as many 100s on paper as I've been getting online. I'm just shocked. You know, the darn thing is, the class average was no higher than the paper course. But what it was a great divide. People are getting 100s and 95s here, and people are getting 25s and 30s over here. So it comes out in the middle about the same as I get from paper. Okay, so being the one that over here, please. Okay, anyway, take care. I'll say a few more words about the test on Tuesday.
Professor Ogden, one more quick question.
Oh, yeah.
Are we required to come in person, or if we enjoy the online format, can we continue to come online, or would you prefer us to come in person?
Yeah, I can't guarantee you a seat in here. Well, I mean, if you're a person who's supposed to be here on Thursdays, you can come here and take the test if you want, but you don't have to.
Oh, I'm saying in general for lectures. Like for example, I'm supposed to come in on Tuesdays. Can I choose to make that online on Tuesday, or would you prefer we still come in person if we're supposed to come in person?
All right, here's the story on that. I'm not going to make determinations who has a valid excuse to be remote, who has a valid excuse not to. And so if for some reason there's something about your personal situation that says I'd rather be remote, that's up to you. So you make that choice yourself. I'm here in class to be an extra resource. And if you decide that you'd rather participate remotely, or you feel safer at home, or whatever you feel, that's your decision. I've not seen a mandate that tells me I have to enforce this. So you do what's right for you. Just like when I had COVID, I didn't come to class either, did I? So, did that answer your question?
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, you're certainly welcome. Anything else before we go? All right. Well,